Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, a DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and I'm joined, unfortunately, just by Connor.
Yeah, I'm here
Oh,
doing my job.
it's like it's like you pick up a comic book, right, and you're thinking, oh, Nightwing, great, but then the cover's a trick, and it's actually Red Hood.
I knew where you were going with that. As soon as you started, I knew exactly what that was going to be.
Matt's not here. We told you last week he wasn't going to be here, but Matt's not here. He's away at a con today, so he's busy this weekend. He's away having fun and getting things signed, meeting Jason Fabok. Fabok?
Fabok or Fabok? I'm not sure. Fabok, probably.
Faboke. I'll have a weird pronunciation, just because. We talk about comic books, DC Comics in particular, and coming up on this week's show, we're going to be talking about Batman number 25, Superman number 25, Green Arrow number 25, Green Lanterns number 25, I promise the next one's not 25, Nightwing number 23, Batwoman number 4, Super Sons number 5, Trinity number 10, All-Star Batman number 11, and that was the last one, I just forgot to say and end the list properly, like someone who can actually speak English, basically, is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
Yeah, why would you do that?
I mean, I think if anything, over the past 56 episodes, I've established that you're not coming here for a clinic in the English language.
No, you certainly are not.
You're coming here because it's real. You come here to see Connor get made fun of, and
And to see Peter butcher everyone's names.
yeah, that's another thing. Not all the names. But
Just a lot of names.
when someone's called John Smith, I cope quite well. Thank you very much.
Oh, I can't wait till you mess that one up at some point.
I'll have something on my glasses or something. I'll like John Smith. Oh, John Smith is John Smith. So yeah, so that's what's coming up today. We have some news as well to get through as well. There was some news things. Solicits came out, but also there was some one meteor thing as well on top of that. But that was the thing. How was your week, Connor? I understand your sleeping habits have been all over the place.
Yeah, insomnia's playing up. I had to nap this afternoon because I didn't get anything last night, so a little bit out of it still today.
I'd make fun of you, but I've been there myself.
It's just unpleasant.
It's that thing when you've got work or maybe you've got university or something like that, and you know you have to be up in an X number of hours, and you keep saying to yourself, if I go to sleep now, I'll still get 4 hours sleep. If I go to sleep now,
Yeah,
I'll still get 3 hours sleep. And then it gets to the
yeah.
point, well, if I go to sleep, I'm just going to feel like absolute shit when I wake up.
I
I'll,
got to the point where I was like, I could get a 20-minute nap. And that's what I was at this morning, and I was like, it's not worth it.
I've been there. I've been there. It's depressing. Um, but no. No, it was. I don't think anything notable happened this week. There was some good TV and there was some things on the channel.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good week of TV.
Had a lot of finales we talked about. Me and Matt did Glow, which is the new ladies wrestling show from Netflix starring Alisson Brie. That was pretty good. Um, we yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah, it was quite enough weeks, so I guess we can break, disperse with the casual chit chat, the niceties. I do it to
Yeah.
make everyone feel a bit more welcome and sort of eases into the show, warm us up a little bit.
Honestly, I spent most of my free time playing Mario Kart, so my week was nice in terms of that.
What was I doing in my free time? I was playing a bit of Horizon Zero Dawn, playing a bit more of that, and I was trying to catch up on Aquaman, and I got about halfway through what I hadn't read. I got up to about issue like 14, 15, something like that range. So I should be caught up for next month's issue. I was hoping to do it for this one because it was a 25 and it was Cedric was coming in on art. The previews at the end of some of the issues are looking quite nice, I have to
It
say.
is, and I had a nosy around what other people were thinking, because there was no chance I was catching up in time,
Yeah.
just based on the amount of stuff I had to do. So I was seeing just the general thoughts, and I've seen a lot of people say it finally delivers on what Aquaman was promised to be for Rebirth, and a large part of that is Cedric, but he helps the story, apparently, a lot.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting there. What I've read so far is fine. I think it's maybe helped a little bit, but because it is, I'm reading it sort of in trade form where I'm doing the whole arc in one
Yeah.
go, essentially. So it's not feeling as drawn out, and as a result, it's actually working a little bit better than what it would have done. I still can't get over the Shaggy Man as a title for a character, though. It's still ridiculous. Because that was where I'd stopped. It was right in the middle of that arc, and when I came back and picked up issue 9, the next one I hadn't read, and they said Shaggy Man again, I just started giggling. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this was a thing. Not that he was new, I don't think. I don't think he was. I'm pretty sure he's an old character, but
It's just something you don't see very often, is it?
maybe he should have stayed buried under the seabed.
Yeah, maybe he should.
Alright, we did have some news this week. As did Marvel, as a matter of fact. Marvel had been hyping up all week.
Well, you say they had news.
Well, they were promising that they had news. They were hyping all week that they were going to finally make their big announcement of the Marvel Legacy stuff, which, if you remember, kind of our very first thing we did for this show, our 0 episode, was the Rebirth WonderCon announcement panel. And they, DC said, right, we've been teasing Rebirth, we're finally going to announce it, and they did this, 90-minute stream where they announced all the books and the creative teams, and we came out of that being really excited. We spoke about it for like 2 hours, I think, whatever it was. And this felt like getting into it. This is Marvel Legacy's version of that. They're not doing a stream, which kind of sucks, because I think that was kind of fun when we did that. But, this is going to be their thing. They're going to be a blowout where they're like, okay, here's all the books that are coming, here's all the creative teams, this is what we're doing, this is what Legacy is. And they actually said midweek, they were teasing it, they said, make sure to tune in on Friday for the industry-changing Legacy announcements. Industry-changing, that is the phrase they were using to hype it up.
Yeah. I mean, they use that a lot, to be fair.
Do they?
Yeah, I think that they kind of do that with every time they have a big event. It'll shake up the whole Marvel universe and the industry at all.
Well, Friday came, and they
you don't even know where to start with this story.
I don't even know what the story is. They basically had gifs of covers. Like, they had their covers, and it was like, here's an old cover, and then it gifted into what the new cover was going to be come September, I think. September, October, whatever the month is. And it was like, now some of them made sense, some of them it was like an old issue of Hulk becoming the current issue of Hulk. And, it was like the homage, it was the same cover, but a new drawn version of it with a new artist. And, okay, that kind of ties into the whole idea that we're going back to basics, we're homaging all these old covers. But then it started doing really weird ones, because they did it in like multiple batches, and one of them was like, here's like a classic cover of Fantastic Four, and it merged into Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and I thought, wait, so you're not bringing Fantastic Four back, you're just, like, this is going to be the spiritual successor to Fantastic Four for people who are waiting for that coming back.
Yeah.
And then as the day went on, it seemed to turn out to be that this was a series, these weren't even the main covers, this was a month of variant covers. All these ones we were seeing, all these homage covers that were recreating old covers, they're all variants for September.
Yeah.
So we have a month of variants. We do have a one-shot, which they'd already announced, the Marvel Legacy one-shot.
I know some people are speculating that they're taking whatever the story of that cover was. So there's one where it's Captain America in jail behind bars, and it morphs into Spider-Man behind bars. So people are going, oh, maybe Spider-Man's going to jail, and that's what this next story for Legacy is going to be. And if that's true, I'm going, is that what would make people happy? Is that what people want from Legacy?
But here's the thing. I am less sure of what Legacy is now than I was before this announcement day.
Yeah,
I have zero idea. I don't know what this is.
I don't either. There was another one where I can't remember what the classic cover was. It was someone's death cover, one of those classic covers.
Yeah.
And the new version was the Lady Thor being dead, like in their place, and people are going, oh, so are they going to kill Lady Thor? Wasn't the whole point of Legacy that everyone was coexisting?
But that's not that's not a Legacy announcement. No, this is just speculating what the plot of one book is based on
right.
That
Exactly.
cover.
That's because this was a non-announcement. There wasn't any announcement. There was just some covers, and people have to guess what they mean.
There was nothing. It's actually more confusing as to what Legacy is. This is insane. I can't believe.
I've seen people getting really excited, going, "Oh, corner box art's back." I'm like, all right, that's cool, but what the damn hell is Legacy?
I have no idea what it is. They if it ends up actually being any good, then they have completely shafted the marketing on it, and I don't get it. They've been hyping this up. This is their big thing. This is their answer to Rebirth, and it's
That feels
nothing.
insulting to Rebirth now.
At this point,
saying
it does, because now
Like,
it's
at
not.
the time, it was like, okay, it was just a Rebirth knockoff, and that's its own problem, but it could still be good.
Do you
And
know
it
what
could
it is
be what
now?
they
Do
needed.
you know what it is now? It's basically Marvel Now 3.0.
I don't even know if it's that.
It's just their yearly kind of juggle relaunch thing, where they maybe renumber some things, but it feels like a lot of the books are just continuing. It's weird. Now you're probably wondering, why am I even bringing all this Marvel news up? Two reasons. One, I just want to tell you how annoyed I am at it, and how legitimately stunned I am at how much it's a non-event. It's nothing.
That's it.
Nothing exciting came from this.
We may be a DC podcast, but that is like, should be industry level of announcement. That should, because by whatever it is may cause DC to have an answer back.
And not even
But
just that.
I don't think they need to for this.
I would like to be convinced that I could read some Spider-Man and X-Men again or something. Like, I'd bend for it.
There was meant to be a good Spider-Man book this week, to be fair.
Oh yeah,
that was
that
not
new
by
one.
Slot.
I know, but it's hard to get invested. I mean, I'll probably read it later in trade, but
Well, I'd say it'd be like, well, it's going to end in September.
probably they keep relaunching things. So yeah, one reason is I just wanted to say how stunned I was that this amounted to nothing. It just feels like nothing really happened or changed with this announcement. It was a bunch of variant covers. And the second reason I wanted to bring it up was because on this day, DC just kind of threw out, oh, here's the reading list for Dark Knight's Metal. All it was just an image of the reading list for Dark Knight's Metal, and this legitimately had more surprises and interesting announcements in this reading list that were just buried in it than anything Marvel showed us on the Legacy Day.
Well, that's because this actually had announcements. They may not have done a press release and gone, oh, this what this book is, but hey, that's a new title. That's an announcement. We didn't even get that for Legacy.
Legacy gave us nothing. There is nothing. They're changing the Hulk book, which is currently like Totally Awesome Hulk, to actually Incredible Hulk. Like, that was like the biggest thing out of the whole thing.
But that's not an announcement.
Well, it kind of is.
Well, it would be if they told us anything about it.
Well, to be fair, they don't tell us anything about these either. The new things.
Well, no, but
in this
these are
list.
new entirely. So that's just we're changing the title.
Oh, sure. But what I'm saying is you're going out your way there to nitpick things, where I'm looking at the actual straight facts here.
All right.
They hyped up this industry-changing announcement. It was a bunch of variant covers, a couple of title changes, and that's it. DC put out a list, which is not meant to be an announcement. It's just, no, here's the reading list so that everyone can keep track of everything for this event that's coming up. And there's a couple of surprises on there that we didn't know about, a couple of one-shots. And that's all they are, they're just one-shots. But they're still actually more exciting than anything Marvel put out on Friday, which was their big Legacy announcement day. Anyway, so this reading order for Dark Knight's Metal, it's got all the stuff we kind of expected. It's got all the main issues. It's got the 3 issues of the Resistance crossover that we'd mentioned, Nightwing, Teen Titans, and Suicide Squad. It's a 3-issue crossover that's happening in September. We seem to be getting another one October, getting into November, between The Flash, Justice League, and Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps. Because there's one issue each of those in there. In fact, there's actually 2 of Justice League, so that might be a 4-issue thing. Yeah. Has all the one-shots that we talked about last week, all these Batman, the Murder Machine, the Dawnbreaker, all those.
Yeah.
The curious new items, though, on the list were Batman Lost #1 in November, and then in December, Hawkman Found #1, which is curious.
I think even before we get to like whatever the Hawkman one is, I really like just the parallel between Lost and Found between the two titles there.
It's so neat and obvious that I almost feel it's not even worth mentioning.
Yeah. Just be like, no, that's nice. That it's because I think when you just look at them in a big list, it's easy to miss that when they're not next to each other. But I think that's nice.
It's worth mentioning. I never counted myself. Is it 25 issues this all adds up to?
I think it was 25 over 8 months, give or take.
25 issues over. Yeah, including the 2 prelude issues, because the 2
including those,
the 2 one-shots are there, but yeah. It ends in February, for the record. The final 2 issues are January, February. All of the tie-in stuff, though, is all done by December.
Yeah, that's why it's strange, because the bulk of it's in like that 3-month chunk or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then you have, 1 issue in June, 1 in July, 1 in January, and 1 in February. So that kind of, when I say it's 8 months, the most of it is concentrated.
Yeah. One Well, it's worth mentioning that the books that it does affect, it only affects them for one issue, typically, which is less of an issue now when there's most of them are double shipping, that kind of thing. It's also, I think, interesting that it does all the tie-ins do end before the final two issues. To me, that says that whatever's going to happen in those final two issues is affected by those tie-ins, so they all have to be done for then, because the status quo in the main series will change.
Yeah.
So, no, so that's pretty cool.
There's also, I noticed there was a Green Arrow issue in there as well. I don't know if that's what that's part of.
He is in the Resistance crossover. I'm wondering if maybe that is 4 issues, but we didn't get the solicit for the last one because it's not. It's an October issue.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But so, that seems strange, given they did solicit the other Batman one-shots.
They did
that were in October.
They did, but that's a one-shot. Whereas in the solicits, they never mentioned that Suicide Squad 26 was the final of the Resistance crossover.
They didn't. If it's not, I would expect that would be maybe an epilogue to that at least.
Or just part 4, just the final part.
Yeah.
Like I say, I think
it's in the right sort of place that it should be part of that.
I think the only reason why they didn't mention it is because it's an October issue, and unlike the others, it's not a one-shot, so that they didn't advance solicit it.
Yeah, it's just strange that they didn't mention it at all.
But that's it's a pretty meaty list, and if you can find this quite easily yourself, by the way. You just Google Dark Knight's Metal reading list, you'll get a hold of it.
I love the design, how it looks like a set list for a band. Yeah, it plays into the metal thing.
I didn't even notice that, but fair enough. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. What I think is I think it's interesting that we have all these dates already, though. Like, I can actually look at Dark Knight Metal number 4. That's coming out on the 13th of December. Like, it's kind of weird having dates for these things all the way up till February, but by all means.
Yeah, and they gotta pray nothing gets pushed.
I feel like because they know this all, I feel like some of the one shots can probably be pushed a bit because they may not be tied to things too tightly.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of making sure the main series doesn't get pushed too much, and even then, they can probably get pushed by a week if they have to. But I imagine they've had a serious bit of lead time on this, so I don't think we'll see too much of that happening. Alright, so the other stuff that happened this week in terms of news is the solicits for September came out. Now, obviously, we already talked about the Action Detective new arcs that were coming in September. We did that because they were up a couple of weeks early, and obviously all those one-shots and stuff. But as always, I've picked out the part 1s of the relevant series that we keep track of, and I'm just going to tell you about what the what the solicit says for each of these part 1s. So if you don't want to know what the future stories are for some of the books, then by all means skip ahead to the first review. As always, timestamps in the description to make life easy. So Batwoman number 7 is starting a new arc come September, in issue 7. It's called Fear and Loathing. When her father, Colonel Jacob Kane, realised that Kate would never become the soldier he wanted, he chose someone else to lead his secret paramilitary group, the Colony. That man, Colony Prime, hates nobody on Earth the way he hates Kate, and the feeling is mutual. So when the two of them are stranded in the Sahara Desert, heavily dosed with Scarecrow's fear toxin, with no way to survive except to rely on each other, they might just choose death instead.
Well, this sounds fantastic. I saw the cover for this, but now knowing that fear toxin is involved, that makes sense for the stylistic change.
Yeah.
Is it Epting back on art for this arc?
That's a good question. It is not. It is Fernando Blanco who's doing the art on that issue.
Right, okay.
So I don't know if that means Epting's just off the book, or if he's coming back for the arc after that.
I hope not. I hope he comes back.
I do too. Yeah, I really like his art. Flash number 30. Right, so Bloodwork, Part 1. Barry Allen's personal life is in shambles, his new negative flash powers aren't working properly, and someone has been tampering with evidence at the Central City Police Department. The Flash is not having a good day, and it's going to get worse when he comes face to face with Bloodwork, a terrifying new villain with secret ties to Barry Allen. That sounds like a villain that's related to his job as a police forensic expert than it does being the Flash.
It does. And I love the names we're getting for the new villains from Williamson.
Yeah.
Godspeed, Bloodwork.
New Superman number 15. It's called Equilibrium Part 1. A simple recon mission, a simple recon mission. That's my comic speak seeping in there, replacing retcon. A simple recon mission to gather intel on the new Superman of China goes pear-shaped when Amanda Waller's Suicide Squad find themselves trapped in the siege of Shanghai and must team up with the Justice League of China to defeat Emperor Superman. So that's interesting.
Sounds kind of cool.
What I like about this is that we were speculating, it's maybe not long for this world, maybe they're just starting to wrap things up. At the very least, the fact that they're starting a new arc at issue 15 means that, well, we'll probably get to at least issue 20.
Yeah, worst case scenario is it's a 3-issue arc and you get to 18.
Yeah, but the fact that they're starting a new arc at 15 is at least promising for a little bit of time. Yeah. So Superwoman number 14 is the start of a new arc. It's called Supermax. Meet Superwoman's newest roommate, Maxima. When the galaxy's foremost forger of heroes finds herself in need of a hero herself, she turns to Superwoman and the planet Earth. But Supergirl has unfinished business with her former mentor, bringing the Girl of Steel to Metropolis and into the clutches of the real Maxima. So Supergirl's coming into Superwoman. That's pretty cool. That'll be a fun team up. And finally, Wonder Woman number 31, which is interesting. I don't know if we talked... Was this news pre-last podcast, the new Wonder Woman team? I don't think it was, but it feels like a long time ago now, so I'm wondering if it was like right after the last podcast and it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't recall talking about it last week.
Me neither, so I feel like... I think so much has happened this week that it just... But when I saw this solicit, I went, I'm going to put this solicit in, because I don't think we spoke about this.
Yeah, we'll mention it for safety's sake.
Yeah. But James Robinson is going to be the new writer on Wonder Woman, starting with issue 31, and Carlo Puglia is going to be the artist on the first arc. Who's the other artist? Because that wasn't in the solicit who the second artist was.
It was Manuel Lupacino.
Yes. So good artist. James Robinson can write good stuff.
I just want to point out, you said, he's the artist for that first arc. Mm-hmm. We were told this is only a 5-issue story, that this team is together, that it's all 3 of them.
All right, I didn't hear that.
And the first announcement when that came up, it said it was just a 5-issue story. So it's another interim team.
All right, okay. Well, okay, so this is going to be the next 5 issues then, after the other story we're getting, starting with 26. So it's called Children of the Gods, and there's some fluff, like, legend of the writer James Robinson comes to blah blah blah, right, whatever. But where's the actual description? Okay, so who is Wonder Woman's brother? Taken away from Themyscira in the dead of night, the mysterious Jason had been hidden somewhere far from the sight of gods and men, but his life and Wonder Woman's are about to intersect in a terrifying new way, bringing them face to face with a cosmic threat they never imagined. Don't miss the start of the next great Wonder Woman epic. I'm kind of mixed on this. I'm not really that excited about exploring this brother nonsense.
I'm okay with it. I'd rather they just do it and get it over and done with, rather than us sitting and waiting, going, right, when are they going to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred if they'd just forgotten about it. But, yeah, if they're going to do it, then yeah, get it over with. I'm not particularly excited about this arc. Well, I mean, maybe it'll be better than I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
But...
I'm just trying to see if I can find where I said it was 5 issues, because that there, it said, the start of this explosive new era, was it? What did it say? It's something that implied it was for a while.
The next great Wonder Woman epic.
That was it. No, sorry, it's scheduled to run for 6 issues from September to December for the 3.
Does it specifically say the team's not on it after that, though? Or is it just saying that's how long the arc's going to last?
It says the new trio's run is scheduled to run for 6 issues. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, on the upside down, that means we might get someone more exciting. Not that James Robinson's a bad writer, he's actually written some good stuff, but he's more hit and miss these days, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've read anything like particularly great from him, but he's usually solid, and art should look great, because Peggy Lyon's been killing it on Deathstroke, and Lupacino, obviously, we praise every time she pops up. Yeah,
so art will at least be solid. I can see it being like a kind of a... If we end up liking the next arc, I can see this one being like sort of the downbeat one where we're just kind of like, that's okay. While we're waiting for the actual new
it
team.
Depends. This brother thing might surprise us. I'm trying to go in open-minded to it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to give it a fair chance, but I'm not excited about it. Like, it's just whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited because of the art, so that they're like, okay, I'm down for that, rather than whatever the story is.
Alright, cool. Well, I guess that'll finally let us move on to some actual books.
Yeah, and we've got plenty of big ones.
Yeah, because all the issue 25s this week are all anniversary issues with extra pages. So that's fun.
Bastards.
So first up, we have Batman number 25, which is Tom King writing, Mikel Janin back on art. Which
Finally.
if I sound happy about that, it's because I am.
It's crazy because obviously this last arc we've been praising Finch, going, oh, he's been doing great. Like, did some fantastic stuff.
He's doing great comic book art. Janin is doing exceptional comic book art.
That's it. And then you get to Janin, and you're like, oh yeah, this is what I missed.
This is glorious stuff, and not to even jump the gun in terms of what I think of this issue, but this was like, I think King has been finding his footing, writing this Batman run as he's been going. I think it's been continuously getting better.
Yeah.
We've loved what's been recently coming, but I feel like one issue into this arc, and I'm like, oh geez, this could be his masterpiece.
That's
possibly.
it, and this is the one we were most skeptical about, given that we were like, okay, flashback story. We were like, this.
I will say this. I like. Now I'm scared to jump into the end of the issue here, but I do like that there's a reason why it's been told. It's not just we're not just getting it for like no thematic reason. It's happening because Batman is telling Selina this story because he feels like. Now we don't know if she said yes or not. Although the fact that she's lying in bed with them would maybe indicate that they got a positive answer.
Yeah, I did look. You can't make out any ring.
Okay, I put that in shadows. Very, very smart. But the idea that he has to like let her in on maybe his kind of deepest secret, which for him is maybe something that he had to do during this event. Now, the one complaint I have about the issue is that he actually refers to it as the War of Jokes and Riddles. I hate that with a passion.
Yeah. Now you know how I feel. I'm going to do it again. Spoilers. I'm going to say it again this week when they talk about the blood.
No, but here's my problem. It's the same with Zero Year. And Zero Year, I wasn't a big fan of that story in general, so it annoyed me even more. But this thing that seemed to start where the characters refer in story to the events with the titles of the arc is really annoying because they don't sound natural.
I think this one sounds better than Zero Year. I do think 0 Year sounds kind of, because you put the 0 Year. It just sounds like something you'd never say. But the War of Jokes and Riddles, I can at least see him saying that.
I could hear them saying the Joker Riddler War. That sounds like how someone would phrase it if they were referring to it as an event.
They probably would, but I can see Bruce dramatising it for storytelling effect.
Okay, this one's sure. But here's the thing, we already had another character say this when it was teased a few arcs ago.
Yeah, that one was a bit annoying.
Yeah, so...
It still doesn't bother me as much as Gordon saying, oh, hey, remember during the 0 Year?
Oh,
Shut up, Gordon.
Exactly. But this is glorious, and basically the gist of this is that... So we're in, essentially, year 2 of, like, Batman's timeline here. And Riddle's been in jail for a year, and this issue is about him escaping. It's about where Joker is right now, which is basically... it's a shame Matt's not here, because he would get this wrestling reference, but Joker's lost his smile. I'll just let that land for everyone else who'll maybe get that.
Enjoy, folks.
But yeah, Joker's basically... He because of his interaction with Batman, he can't laugh anymore. He's not finding anything funny. Batman's made everything else mundane, and it's taken the life out of it. So Riddler escapes and goes to Joker with the idea that maybe if they work together, he can finally solve his greatest riddle, which is Batman, and Joker can finally find his joke again, tell his joke, find his punchline, and obviously Joker immediately, and again, very in character, turns around and just shoots Riddler in the stomach.
Yeah.
And he even says, oh, maybe I can just do this, and then afterwards goes, nah, not funny, and just walks off. Everything with the Joker walking about in shadows, the opening in the comedy club, where he's getting people to try and like tell him jokes, and then he just shoots them if they don't make him laugh. And then you see that pit of bodies when he makes the next guy roll the body off the stage. Oh, it's glorious. I love it.
I forgot how, like, it's been a while since we've seen the Joker properly, and especially when he's doing like the proper sadistic stuff, just being evil.
Yeah,
it's been a while. I feel like, because I mean, we haven't had it at all during Rebirth.
No, and even when Snyder had him, obviously I would say that was kind of what it was back in, Death of the Family and stuff. Once it got to Endgame, he was doing these crazier concepts with it, and it was kind of.
Yeah, I still enjoyed what he was doing with the Joker. Don't get me wrong. But it wasn't just
classic Joker.
This is just straight up classic evil Joker, and it's nice to see that again.
I have missed it. I love how Janin here, and probably because it's a dark story, but he's really playing with the shadows. Like everything with Joker in the shadows, or even Riddler. Like when Riddler's standing in front of all the prison guards, and he's just got the hat down, and he's got a sort of smirk on his face.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
In terms of shadows and lighting, the moment I love is, when Riddler finally goes and meets Joker, and Joker's sat at the desk, and you have those fantastic 2 double-page spreads.
Oh, do you know what that does so well? It emulates that thing in a movie where the camera pans from one end of the room to the other, because it's this double-page spread where Riddler's on the left of the page, right?
Yeah.
And he says, knock, knock. And then, big double-page spread, it's just all open space. And then it goes over to Joker, and then he's on the right side of the next double page spread, all the open space on the other side of him, and he just says, who's there? You really get this feeling of the camera moving across the room.
Do you know what? Part of me is surprised they didn't do, every so often they'll do the gatefold pages. And just have it as one big 4-page spread. Because it does line up perfectly. So I feel like it was definitely drawn that way, and then just split down the middle.
I'm going to dispute that, actually. I mean, maybe that's the intention, but I feel like the actual having to move the page to go to the next one.
No, I agree. I think it works. I'm surprised that they didn't. I know that they like having those moments if they can, like DC.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass digitally though, so I'm glad they didn't.
They are. Never know how to read them.
Yeah. So
what I was saying about the shadows is on that page, the Joker, all his side of the room is all dark and shadowed, and he's just sat at the desk. But the Riddler is literally stood in what is essentially a spotlight.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's great stuff, and the bat signals up in the sky. They're also, both of these pages are homages to some of their first appearances. I saw it on Twitter. I think it was King that tweeted it out.
Right.
He put a panel of one of the Joker's first appearances sitting at a desk with his hands in front of him like that, and Riddler sort of having that pose. So that's really cool. I love the scene with Joker. He's getting the cab ride, and the cab driver like laughs at his joke, and then he shoots him because he's like, no, that's not funny. And then you just see the car crash, and it's like, oh man, this is proper, just flat out chaos Joker who doesn't care about anything. Yeah,
and like I say, it's been a while since we've had that. Like even when it was Death of the Family, it was straight up classic evil Joker, but he still had a purpose. He was doing something actively, whereas here it just feels like he's just doing whatever the moment takes him.
Yeah, and obviously he does care about the one thing. He cares about the fact that he's lost his laugh. Right,
but there's still, like you say, there's chaos there. He's just causing things to happen instead of actively pursuing this one thing at the moment.
Yeah, that idea that the Joker can just shoot anyone that's around him at any moment is part of what makes him so great. And and that's when Batman finally shows up after the shooting, and he basically tells Selina that he thought Riddler was dying, and he knew Joker had a bomb. So or at least Riddler tells him he has a bomb. So he goes off to try and find the Joker, prevent more loss of life. But because of that, he doesn't actually. Riddler gets away, Joker gets away as well, and it's this is almost the entire issue is the inciting incident to why this war even happens.
Yeah.
Riddler tried to make a pact with them. Joker being the Joker, it did not work, and it starts this war. And it's all basically a big tease issue for what this is going to be. And you get that final page in present day where he's like, I'm telling this story because you need to know this about me before we move ahead.
Yeah, I love the splash page before that, where it's basically the picking of the sides, like what we're going to see coming up. Yeah,
where they enlist different bat villains to their armies. I've actually seen that before. They released that page a long time ago.
Yeah, but we didn't have it with the words before, did we?
Sure, the words weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically the prologue issue, but as far as whetting my appetite for something, this was perfect. I loved it. It's
also the first time in a long time that Riddler has been genuinely a scary threat. Like when he's there breaking out of the prison, when he leaps across the table at the guard, and then when he walks out and he just starts saying the names.
Yeah, he says all the names of all the loved ones that these guards have. So the guards basically they just part. So they part of the Red Sea. That's kind of what I kind of likened it to. Was Moses going through the Red Sea. I like some of the little details about that. The fact that he stabbed the guy 26 times, one for every letter of the alphabet, because he had something to say. I like some of his riddles. Imagine you're in a room that you can't get out. How do you get out? Stop imagining. That's a really good riddle. Why does the end of the world never come? Because it's round. Like,
Yeah.
I like his riddles. They're good little fun ones.
It is. But like I said, he actually feels like a threat for once. And often I feel Riddler doesn't, because he can feel like just gimmicky with the riddles. It can be fun, but it's rare that he feels like a genuine threat.
Do you know what I like about this conflict is I think sometimes Riddler can fall into the trap of being kind of like knockoff Joker, where he's got his riddles, but he's his schemes and his whole things where he holds the city to hostage for his riddles. It feels very much a lot like what the Joker would do. He's just not as crazy as the Joker. So I like the idea that he tried to form a truce because he thought there's some similar ground. And then realised...
but he's too logical.
Yeah, he's too logical, whereas Joker's the complete opposite of logic.
That's it. I think that's what this is doing. This is highlighting that, they're similar, but the fundamental differences between them. And I think it'll be a story that really separates them going forward.
Yeah, so, great stuff. Loved it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
So, I guess I'll take us on. I suppose we should jump in. Matt didn't send in thoughts for all the books like he did normally. He has given us a top 5 in his favourites of the week, but he did mention one thing for Batman that he wanted us to get across. He said it felt like a Mikel Mann movie in a comic book, which I can kind of see. It feels like that sort of dark crime thriller kind of vibe, the way it's shot.
It's to do with the pacing as well.
Yeah, the pacing. Yeah, I like how it's following both of them separately, but then eventually Riddler's like. He's following Joker into the building, and they eventually meet. It's all about them meeting at the end.
And I love how Batman isn't part of the story till after everything's already started. Like, it's already too late by the time he gets there.
Yeah. Because he's talking about the weather. He says that day he smiled because the weather was nice for once in Gotham, because it's always raining or snowing or it's too hot. But during this war it was calm. It was like just nice and peaceful, not a cloud in the sky.
It's the whole pathetic fallacy of usually when something bad's gonna happen, so it'll rain, and that's like what you typically see in films. It's just subverting that gently by going, oh no, it's nice, something bad's gonna happen. All
right, so there you go. That's Batman. I guess that will take us on to Superman number 25, which is written by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, art by also Gleason and Doug Mahnke. This is wrapping up the Black Dawn story, which has had its ups and downs. We've been kind of critical of some of it. It kind of found itself a little bit again last issue, but was still not amazing. And I think this issue, for me, kind of encapsulates the entire arc, where there's some nice moments that I really like, especially at the end. But a lot of the actual fighting feels kind of jumbled, kind of like some of the arc did as well, as a whole.
I think it's my favourite issue of the arc.
Okay.
I think I'll go with that. I like some of the action. I think it flows a lot better than some of the art has at other points during this arc.
It does flow better, but because the arc as a whole hasn't built to it that well, it doesn't have the resonance to make it really.
No, that's true. It was more just, this looks cool. This is cool. It looked good, and so I was enjoying that at least, rather than it having the weight that it should have done.
Yeah, but without the weight, it's just kind of it's pretty and it's fun to look at, but it's not really got the emotional backbone.
It made it better than like some of the earlier issues where it was like where we were actually confused as to what was happening at points.
I will disagree that for me, I think the first issue was the best of it, because the first issue this was actually really promising. That was the one where Batman showed up and it had the whole. The world's getting darker, we need to shine brighter. Like that was a great issue.
Well, that's true. I forgot that was just about part of this arc.
And then even the second issue with Lois on her own, like running around.
No, I think I prefer this one to that.
That was mostly pretty good until a certain point. So no, I would say it started much stronger, but then it had that issue in the middle that just drug it right down. And then last issue was better, but not great. And then this one kind of follows that kind of same pattern, kind of going up the way, but with sort of because Lois does show up eventually in this issue, and she's the one who talks John down, because John's being controlled by Manchester Black, and he's fighting Superman, and he's got more powers under his control because it's sort of tapping him into all of his powers, and he's flying and everything else.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of fighting going on, and it's Lois that shows up, and we find out that that the leg thing never happened. That was just we saw what he wanted to see.
So exactly what we said it was, basically.
Exactly what we said it was, and much like I think I said at the time, it feels just kind of meaningless and cheap as a result, because it didn't feel like they set it up properly. So now to fix it, all they've done is have her come out and say, we just saw what you wanted us to see, and that's it.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd play it a bit better than that, because obviously we were expecting that's what it was, but I just hoped that they'd deal with it better, and ultimately it does just feel like, okay, it was just for the... I mean, we know it was just for the shock value anyway, but I thought they'd work it in a bit nicer.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
Whereas this is very transparent now.
I think I'm more disappointed with it now after this issue than I was at the time. Because at the time I was very open-minded. I was like, all right, I'm going to see what they do with it. But they never really did anything with it.
That's actually the correct response to that. They did nothing with it. It just
it just happened, and then it didn't happen.
Then they just explained. They just explained why there's no effects of it, and that's it. Move on.
Yeah.
Move on with your life. Yeah. Obviously, one of the interesting parts is the alien ship, which these aliens that are in Hamilton came down on. Their reactor goes at one point, and it hits Superman, and we get this weird kind of like what happened in Nightwing with that blade that gave us like these multiple visions of the future. This gave us this weird vision of the future where we see Damian Batman, and we see for the first time though, we see what appears to be John as Superman with I forgot her name again.
Kathy,
thank you. With adult Kathy, presumably his wife or whatever.
That's the assumption. Yeah, they're stood together like that.
Yeah, which is exciting. Which is cool. I think. Much like I've said about a lot of this arc, I'm liking more about what it's setting up going for. Because it sets up that Kathy's still going to be around, she's still going to be a permanent player in John's life. And if anything, they're actually closer now because she's also an alien, so they kind of relate on a different level. They also work together because like she can channel his power to make her stronger, and they sort of bond. And they kind of explain that's why they had the whole tree incident, is because he wasn't expecting it the first time they touched. It wasn't just a hormone. I mean, I'm sure hormones played a part, but it wasn't just that. There was an actual science fiction-y thing going on as well. And then the other aliens, the current elite that Black was working with, basically decided, yeah, we kind of messed up and this is still our home, we want to help defend it, give us a chance, Superman, to prove ourselves, and they go back to running the town. But now Superman knows about it and gives them a chance.
Yeah, they kind of sound like, they make it sound like they were coerced into it, like they didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that as well when Black kind of forced them into accepting the deal to save them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I think the best part of the issue though is definitely the ending when Superboy and Kathy go up the tree and they touch again and it reignites his powers, and there's that moment where Clark and Lois look around and goes, was that a bird? Was that a plane? And he's like, no, I think our Superboy's back. And you turn the page and it's this just full page spread of him flying with Kathy, and it's a really nice page.
Yeah,
it's a nice moment. So it's a great moment.
It is.
It's just the actual plot with Manchester Black ended being kind of flubbed because it didn't build the way it should have built.
It is, and Joe, I'm glad that Kathy's still going to be a major part going forward, and obviously that glimpse of the future says, okay, we've got long-term plans for her. I'm a little bit sad we'll never actually get to see that because we never will. But man, I'd love it if just at some point down, a couple of years into Rebirth, we just go, Joe, what we're gonna do this, and we'll have Damian Batman and John Superman for a while at least, and show us that world.
Yeah, even if it's just like a Super Sons kind of right. Super Sons is going to jump ahead 20 years.
Yeah, because I mean, we never really get to see it, do we? We get glimpses here and there, but we never get. No, let's have some stories set with them.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, though, is that I wouldn't even want to jump straight there. If we were going to do the whole universe like that, I'd be like, no, I want the time when like Dick's leading the Justice League first. I want to go through that phase before we get to.
Yeah, that's it. Like the problem is, obviously, we've only just got Clark back, and it's. I don't want to just say, I want to get rid of him and see this, but
because of course we don't.
Of course, but the thing is, at some point, I would like him have to. Maybe he decides to step down and pass the mantle to John. Like, he doesn't have to die or whatever. You don't have to do that. You could just go, no, you can take on the legacy.
Yeah, maybe somehow Clark loses his powers or something, and that's why it happens. So he has to just sort of accept that he is now spiritually Jonathan Kent, and just he has to be that in his son's life.
Yeah. Also, I love in John's Superman costume that he's taken inspiration from Damian and he's got a collar.
Huh. You're right. Yeah.
Because it's a very similar. It's smaller, but it's a similar style collar to what Damian's got on his batsuit.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's good. And there's a sort of joke ending. We find out when they blasted Manchester Black together, his consciousness ended up in a cow. So he's in a cow, and he's trying to control some kids, but the kids kind of snap out of it and like, what the hell are we doing with this cow? And they end up just flipping it over, and that's kind of the joke ending of the.
I love how they give the cow the cigarette. Just the image of the cow with the cigarette is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a fun little ending. I mean, the arc as a whole is kind of disappointing, which is a shame, but they did have some moments in there that were really nice at the start and the end of it.
That's it. It's something that is a typical rule of storytelling. If you start strong and end strong, the middle doesn't actually matter as much, especially later on when you read this as a whole. It's a bit different when we read it fractured bit by bit.
I think
as a general rule, you remember the start and end much more than you do the middle.
I think in this case, I'll disagree with that. Because I feel like it actually hurts the impact of the ending. Like, the entire final conflict was just kind of shallow to me because I didn't care.
Yeah.
That I think that rule only works when the middle's still good enough to make you care about what's coming at the end.
Perhaps. But I think if I look back at this, I'm going to think of these final few pages and go, yeah, that had a really great ending.
Nah, I'll remember the bits I didn't like more, I think. I actually kind of disagree with that statement now that I'm thinking about it. I often find the journey's usually better than the destination. It's actually quite special. It's quite special when the destination lives up to the journey, honestly.
No, I know what you're saying. As a general rule, when you think back on something, just you think of the start and end before you think of the middle. So usually that's where if you start and end strong, your impressions tend to be stronger.
What's the first Star Wars movie you think of?
Star Wars.
Come on, it's Empire Strikes Back. You know
it's not. It's not. First thing I think of is
no.
The Band of Sunset.
You knew what point I was going to make, and you just circumvented it to show me up. I'm not buying it. You're full of lies.
It's not. I go to but first thing I always think of is the Binary Sunset moment. That moment is Star Wars to me.
I mean, I'm actually one of the minority who prefers the first Star Wars over Empire, although Empire is still very good, of course. But most people think of Empire first.
I think Empire is better, but I don't think of it first.
Yeah. First thing I think of is when I hear Star Wars, though, is annoying fans.
Well, of course you do.
That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Of course you do.
Annoying fans who won't shut up about Star Wars.
Yeah, that's because it's fantastic. It's better than any of the other shit you go on about. You go on a lot of shit.
There is equal bad Star Wars movies as there is good Star Wars movies.
Well, that's just not true.
It's very true.
It's not. That's just flat out wrong.
There's 4 good and there's 4 bad.
There's at least 5 good. 5.5, arguably.
What's the half?
Parts of 3.
Oh, piss off.
I will argue parts.
The only good part of that movie is when he killed all the kids.
I love how you pick one of the weakest moments in it.
No, that part was fun because he was killing kids, and I was like, yeah, screw those kids up, murder them good.
A look inside Peter's mind.
Oh god, oh no! And see, anyone who argues that final fight in Sith is any good, no, you're full of absolute shit. That final fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin is absolute garbage.
Choreography-wise, it's overdone, absolutely. And I'll agree, choreography, not great.
Everything about it's bad. The CG's bad. You were the chosen one! Go away. Dialogue's awful.
The dialogue is not all awful. Some bits are awful, but some of it is fantastic. Some of it's the best part of that film. Especially after watching Clone Wars, where because I don't really all the stuff about the relationship.
Oh god, what have I done? He's talking about Clone Wars.
After you watch that, you buy the relationship. Yeah, all right. We'll move on, and you can talk about DC again.
Thank you. Green Arrow, number 25. That's what's next. Benjamin Percy writing. Oh, Schmidt's back on art. Which is fine, because we're swapping between Jean Ferrier and Otto Schmidt. It's actually quite a good little mix to be swapping around.
It is, and I think we've got Byrne coming up next, so still solid.
Yeah. So this, unlike, well, actually not, like Batman, this is the start of the next arc.
Yes.
Yeah, where Superman was the end of the arc. I love how they've all timed it so it's all the start or the end of an arc. They've been very, very careful with this. So the big anniversary issue was the start or the ending of something. But this is the start of, I think the title of the arc is, Broken Arrows at the start.
It is. I was just about to say it, but
I was going to say, it's probably at the end because it kind of sets up what he's doing at the end of it. But yeah, that's fair. Unless this is just technically a one shot and then the arc starts.
I think it might be a one shot because, like I think I said it last week or maybe with the last issue of Green Arrow that I know Byrne is doing something with the Flash there. So I think.
I feel like this is really the first part of it though, because it sets it all up. But yeah, they're just framing it as this is a prelude, and then
Yeah, it does say at the end, next hard traveling hero. So I
Yeah,
think that might be the name of the arc, and this is just a one shot, technically.
technically, yeah, but it'll be in that trade because obviously,
Yeah. This definitely feels like the bridging issue between year one and year
yeah.
two, though.
Ah, yeah, that's a fair point. Uh, so what was this about? This is a harder one to remember without looking at it because it's a lot of small scenes. Like it kind
It
of
is, yeah.
yeah, because we have all these in prison. He's being questioned by detectives, and they're being kind of mean to him. The mayor's going on about it. It's now Star City, which seems to be official. Everyone seems to be calling it that. So
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm a fan of how quickly this seems to happen and how quickly everyone's just saying it. Like he's the only one still saying Seattle, and then people are correcting him, going, "It's Star City now."
you know, I completely agree. It's far too quick, but because I want it to be called Star City, I'm actually kind of not going to complain about it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it annoys me. It's like if something changed its name, there's a period where people, some people will just naturally, out of habit, still call it what it was.
I do think though there'll be a nice moment when Oliver kind of accepts that it's Star City, but he'll sort of accept it as Star City on his terms. Whereas, okay, I'm going to make Star City be. I was going to say great, and then I heard great again in my head, and I thought, no, I can't go down that path. That's not what I meant to say. But you know what I mean? Like he'll because right now it's the villains that want it to be called that, and I feel like there'll be a moment where he says, no, okay, it's Star City, but I am going to make Star City the city of Green Arrow, and it's going to be safe, and it's going to be, crime's going to be gone, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, he'll probably do. So if I have to think of it as, because Benjamin Percy tends to write a lot on the nose with these sorts of things anyway. I imagine he'll be like, well, stars shine bright, so this city's going to shine bright with heroes at the forefront.
So the main gist of this is that the underground men are back. Black Canary's investigating that, and she finds out about them. Meanwhile, Oliver does get out of jail. Emmy tries to break him out, and then he's like, no, I'm doing this officially, I'm doing this legally, by the book. And then a lawyer shows up with his bail money, says it's from an old friend, which we assume Diggle, because it then cuts to Diggle's page.
Yeah, that was the assumption, but there was nothing in that made it sound like it was him. Like, it didn't even sound like he knew what was going on. He's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they could just be using that as a tie, like, oh, it's an old friend, and then he's an old friend, but it's not the actual old friend in question who bailed him out.
Which would be a really clunky segue, though, if that is the case.
It is, yeah. The segue kind of implied it, but hey-ho. So basically, he gets a court hearing and stuff, like, she's setting it all up, and all the rest of it. We see Diggle's got Merlin, and Merlin's kind of like his prisoner for the time being, and he's like bringing him food and stuff. It's all very, very odd. But Merlin basically says, yeah, eventually you can't stop us from killing one another. Like one of us is going to have to win, and you're going to have to kind of pick when you don't intervene, kind of idea. But yeah, so Five still working at Queen Industries. Thank you. Do you know, in my head, I really wanted to say Stark, and I was fighting against it. I'm like, it's not Stark, that's Marvel. Don't say Stark.
Too much talking about that legacy bollocks at the start.
I know, that's the problem. But Oliver meets him, and he's like, yeah, I can be your man inside, I can know about all this stuff. And it sounds like, because he listens in the conversation between Broderick and the mayor, and they're talking about how, Star City is just one of the stars. They're going to have a constellation across the country.
Again, I love it, but he's so on the nose. But it's like I kind of really appreciate it.
I like this. I like the fact that they want to have several cities under control and have it be a constellation. I think that's perfect.
It is. It's fantastic.
Perfect punning, since they're calling it still Star City. Perfect. So that sets the whole thing up. It is basically a giant setup issue. Like, it sets up all these different things. What I did think was weird, though, is that when Oliver finds out about Dinah and he's going to go help her, Fife says, oh, you shouldn't throw the hood and the bow in the trash just yet. Green Arrow can still do some good. We then cut to him showing up to help Dinah, and she's like running through the tunnels from the all the monsters and stuff, and he's in costume with the bow and arrow, and I'm like, but we did that whole thing where he threw it out in the last issue. If it was just going to be a thing where he was taking it off to go and be Oliver Queen, then just have him take it off.
Yeah, I mean, I assume Fife just had a backup. Like, just stashed away up the stairs.
It feels weird to have that moment where he puts it in the trash, literally, and then not to have a moment where he makes the choice to put it back on.
It does. It undermines it a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's not to say that I disliked the issue. I actually liked it a lot, but it just...
I did too.
That was one thing that just stuck out to me.
I just want to point out one of the great layout bits. It's during that sequence where he goes and saves her. Mm-hmm. One of the lines separating the panels is actually the arrow, and it's fantastic. It's on the
yeah.
second page of it.
Yeah, I see it. That's good. That's good stuff. I like them bickering, and which has always been good. But Dinah giving him shit and all the rest of it is good fun. And they eventually get out and they kind of win. And basically, he comes to the realization, this is kind of with all the setup's been building to at the end. He's with Emmy and Fife, and he's like, right, Black Canary's in charge while I'm gone. And actually, see, when this page started, I was actually thinking, wait a minute, you've got like court dates and shit. You're just like, you're on bail. You can't just leave. But he does bring it up. But at the end of the page, he brought it up, which I was glad because I was really getting ready to nitpick it if he didn't.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, Black Canary's in charge. Emmy, Red Arrow, whatever you're calling yourself, follow orders. Five, you're the inside man. And Five's rich because he's given him a sports car and he's got shades on. It seems like he's now loaded because of his new job.
I don't think he's giving him the sports car. That's his sports car because Ollie goes off on the bike.
Oh, sorry, he gives him money then. Sorry, he
definitely gives him money.
There's talk of the loan, but yeah, my point though is look at him. He's loaded now.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny.
I love how he's proper suave in the sunglasses.
He is actually, yeah. Dinah doesn't go down to meet them though. She watches from a distance with tears in her eyes, which is kind of sad because they're in a sort of broken place. So basically what we're getting with the next arc is we're getting Ollie going around the country looking into where else the Ninth Circle have got their grips into, which is probably why he ends up meeting Flash. He probably goes to Central City, then he'll go to somewhere else, and which probably means we're going to get a lot of interesting guest stars as he goes around all the different cities.
I love that he calls this a quest, and it kind of does feel like that. He's setting off on a quest.
Yeah, like an RPG.
And like you say, this will be the guest. I imagine Flash is the next one.
I do hope as this is all going on that we still get like a subplot in the book with Dinah and the rest of the team in Star
given
City.
the tease page, that has all the things.
Yeah.
Of one of them is Emmy and Canary, so I assume that means that we'll at least check in with them for an issue at some point, if not a running subplot.
Which, Joe, what's amazing about this is one of the pages, one of the panels in that tease page, as we're getting teased for the last page. We'll talk about the reveal at the end in a second, but is him standing with Nightwing, Batgirl, Damien, and Harley Quinn, and it's just like sort of dawned on me. Oh, that neatly ties into the whole Gotham Resistance thing, and that's why he's there.
It's like that's why he's there. Yeah,
because he's on his quest. It's actually,
I think we did speculate that when we mentioned it last week or the week before.
It's just nice that it's neatly lining up like that. Like that's why he's there, because it's almost like that we're going to do that crossover regardless, and then
it was like, hey, let's just make this another stop on his journey.
Yeah, it's like, then they noticed, we're doing a travelling thing with Green Arrow. Oh yeah, that's half him being Gotham at that time. That's pretty cool. It works. Also, it seems like we're going to get an issue with him and Hal, which is pretty cool. The Green teaming up once again, plus various others. So that's pretty cool. And the last page, of course, the big twist is that in the Ninth Circle, not dead, Moira Queen is alive and she's evil. Presumably.
I kind of love this.
Presumably.
Yeah, you want to assume so.
They could swerve us, but at least right now it seems like she's evil.
Yeah, he's talking about how... Interestingly, he says that Ollie's father refused the call. So Ollie thinks, his dad was an evil guy and, he was part of this, but he wasn't. He actually was like, he said no. This is what we learn here. Which
will be a nice moment for him when he realises that his entire bloodline isn't completely screwed.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting because he'll be like, oh, Dad wasn't an evil prick. That's fantastic. And it's like, wait a second, Mom.
Yeah, but that at least will be an interesting development for him, and it at least means that Emmy's free from it because they don't share a mum.
That's true.
So that'll be why they don't care about her.
Yeah,
Circle.
That's a good point.
To the same extent. So cool. Yeah. So you got that. That's Green Arrow. There's a fun issue. Setting up a lot of stuff. I'm looking forward to this next arc. Green Arrow's having a hell of a run. Like I think it's fun to be reflective now that we're 25 issues into these series, and it's like, like it doesn't even seem like any of them are wrapping up their runs. It feels like they're going to go at least another year.
That's it. Especially there's a couple of them that do it. Green Lanterns as well. We'll talk about that when we get it. But that and this issue, it feels like right. Okay, we've had the first year. We'll take 25 to go. This is what you can expect in the next year. This is this is kind of the Rebirth issue 2.0.
Almost, which is much better than Rebirth issue 1.0.
It is, but some of them were a bit flawed, and some of them were just the start of a story arc. And this almost is just the start of an arc.
Yeah, but that's okay because it's just the next issue.
Right, exactly. But I just mean in the same sense where that issue was essentially going, right, this is the story. This is what we've got for a year.
Yeah.
And this is now, right, this is the next year.
It's pretty exciting, and it makes me excited to catch up on Aquaman actually and see what that's doing going forward. See that seemingly, since it's seemingly getting some of its mojo back. And
Yeah, I'd like to try and find some time to do it myself, but I'm not entirely sure if I'll have. I've got a month, so maybe I will.
yeah, maybe you will. Maybe you'll have time. All right, that'll take us on to Green Lanterns number 25. Sam Humphries writing, Robson, Rocha on art. Once again, this returned to the colouring that I really liked from like 4 issues ago, 5 issues ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I had a problem with it at the time because it was in the middle of an arc and it felt strange. But here, where they go into this new location, it's all mysterious, Vault of Shadows. I love it in this issue.
Yeah, I love the art in this issue. I love the colouring especially. I mean, obviously, Robson Rocha's been doing the art in this on and off for a long time, and he's always been dependable, but the colouring just makes it... Oof.
It does, and like I said, I think I did have a problem with it before, where it was in the story, but here, I think it works fantastically.
Yeah, I'm really, really into it. It's the way... It's a bit more muted, which I like. I think Green Lanterns could play... Not just this book, but just Green Lantern in general could play with different colour sort of palettes a little bit more. I mean, I know obviously green's always going to be there, but it doesn't have to always be the exact same shade of bright green. You can have it be a bit darker. You can have it be a bit more muted. In this case, it's a bit more sort of shaded kind of thing, which I like. It's not... which maybe goes against a little bit the idea that it's been made of light, but honestly, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with that idea.
It does look more like actual fabric, especially where it seems to, like, crumple around them at times.
Which, as much as that doesn't make sense, I kind of like it looking like that more.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't know why, I guess, I mean, it's not to the same extent, but it's kind of like how in the movie it's like, oh, it's all CG, and I'm like, no, I'd rather it was just in a suit. Even if it makes sense that it's made of light and it's therefore kind of fake looking.
I will say, as much as I love the art in this issue in general, I think there's a few times where the faces are a bit strange.
Yeah.
There's that bit where Jessica and Simon are sat on the stairs.
And they're reminiscing about all the things they're missing from Earth.
Yeah, Jessica's face, the top left panel of that is just, it looks strange. Just doesn't look right.
I think it's mostly fine. I think the only problem with it is it looks like she's got like it looks like she's doing this with her tongue. And apologies for the audio listeners, you won't get to see this, but also she's got something in her mouth.
Yeah,
she's holding it in. I can see what you mean there. I like a lot of it though. The fist bump moment's quite good. All the rest of it. I like that they're reminiscing about, because they're not used to being in space for that long. So this is the first time they've been out, and they're kind of looking back on it. They run into a guardian of this Vault of Shadows called Tynion. If I'm saying that right, it's got an apostrophe.
I was saying Tyranner.
Tyranner. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can see that. But he actually realizes that Rami is not Rami. He can sort of sense that he's not quite him. But Rami shuts him up quite quickly, or Voltham shuts him up quite quickly, I should say. We get a flashback to him getting his first ring because he's one of the original 7, and we also get a flashback to, I presume, the ring that is now on Jessica's finger. Like
that was the assumption I made as well.
Maybe it's just because the alien looks kind of like Jessica, similar haircut, kind of similar face.
Yeah,
different color obviously because she's an alien, but kind of similar character. With kind of Brainiac looking dots actually in her head now that I'm looking at her.
Yeah, she's a Kaluan.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get a little bit more on her. Hers is more interesting because the Tyranner guy, he was just kind of almost been executed, and then he escapes and the ring comes. Whereas we get the sense that she's constantly losing jobs. She can't keep a job. She's always having money troubles. And we see that she has some tension with her parents because she thinks her parents are against her being in a gay relationship, but I mean, the mother tries to say that's not the case at the last second, but I think hers is the most interesting flashback. I mean, I've enjoyed most of them, but they've all, up until this point, they've all been in like a sort of kind of crisis moment where they're all like fearing for their lives, or they're all doing this kind of thing. Whereas with her, it feels like it's just a slice of life.
Yeah, it's a more personal sense of, like it's all, obviously it's still willpower dependent.
Yeah.
Obviously, but for her, it feels like, I know it's a personal bit, which is why I think you're linking it to Jessica, as well as, this is the female character. It's a similar sort of thing where she's going through a personal crisis rather than a big end of the world thing.
Yeah, which Jessica's shown to have more trouble with. So it thematically links her to her quite well. But Volthum gets his ring back, and he comes out and he reveals himself to the lanterns, and he's like back to sort of looking like he should look with his more human looking form.
Yeah, he actually leaves Rami because Rami's still there on the floor.
Yeah, he's sort of lying there, thing. And Simon goes to fight him, and he actually overloads Simon's ring, and his ring breaks. It's actually a really nice two-page spread.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And them screaming, and like Simon holding his hand in pain, is pretty cool stuff. Because obviously the framing device of this issue is that Simon, just before this, wrote a letter to his brother-in-law, apologising for not being a friend and not being around, and promising that he'd be there for his birthday, which passes as he's here, and we see, like, on Earth, like, him crumple up the letter and be like, no, he's no friend of mine anymore, and it's like, it has this sad kind of undertone throughout the entire issue, because that's what frames it.
Yeah, I just want to say, on that page where the ring breaks, it's, I think going forward we're going to have him without a ring, because we get that shot where he's holding his arm, and the tattoo, which I'll be honest, I can't remember what it says. I'm sure it's told us at some point.
Yeah.
That lights up, and it looks like the little green fragments of the ring almost go into it, and it's like maybe that'll be his ring going forward.
I'd like him to be gimped though, until he gets a ring again properly. Like, he has to cope with the fact that he can't just make constructs like he could before. Yeah,
I think it could be really interesting. It'll mean he'll have to do things differently, and it'll really change it up for him to be forced to. So it was kind of what the last arc was getting at, like you need to try and do things differently. But I think forcing him into that situation will be interesting.
Yeah, I like that as well. I also like that, because I actually immediately thought, wait, will he be able to breathe here? In the next page, it actually showed you a panel of him like holding his throat, and it's like, insufficient oxygen for human respiration, Simon's suffocating. I like that. And what I liked about after this, though, and this is probably my favourite chunk of the issue, is Volthum tries to take control of Jessica's ring, because part of the travel lantern that his power comes from is inside the ring, and it starts kind of like contradicting the actual ring, and the ring like talks back to Jessica, says, no, there's something else in here, there's like fragments of this travel lantern, and it's trying to take control. But then her willpower wins, and she fights it, to the point where we start getting the two different commands. Like, the travel lantern says it's activating, but then we see Green Lantern ring activating, and they overlap. Like, it shows that they're fighting for power and attention. But Jessica like finds the willpower, and she wins. But because the travel lantern was already initiating, it sends Simon and Jessica, this is the cliffhanger at the end of the issue, it sends them somewhere, presumably back towards Volthum's homeworld.
I'm going to say it goes to the past.
Goes to the past? Well, yeah, it could be the past as well. But...
Well, based on Tyroner, he said, it's like, it's good to see you again, my old friends. It's been so long. So I got the impression they're going to the past, and they're going to have an adventure with him when he was younger.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's good catch. Yeah.
I also think it's really interesting, like, what's kept him alive, because he's a Tamaran. We see that's the planet. And I didn't think they lived that long. I mean, I know they presumably live a while, but
I think the obvious guess would just be the ring.
Yeah, it could be.
I think that'd be the obvious guess. No, that's a very good point. I wonder if that's where they'll go first, though. I feel like this next arc might be them going through time and places.
Yeah, it could be.
And I feel like, because it was programmed to go to... Because that's where he wanted to go. He wanted to go home, Volthum.
Yeah, he said Earth 15, was it?
Yeah. So I feel like maybe that's even where they are at the end here, is that world doesn't exist anymore, because they look all kind of distorted, and they're like being pulled in different directions, and there's fragments of things. And
do you know what I do find interesting? He says, travel lantern activated, and he says go to Earth 15. And she just says, ring, get me and Simon out of here. She doesn't say where.
Yeah.
So technically, if it just took her to Earth 15, it would be following the order.
Yeah, but obviously it left him behind, which is not going to please Volthum very much.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy it. I like him with this going. I think it feels like a big story. It feels like it's what it's been building up to since kind of just after the first arc. So for most of the year, it's been building to this story.
Yeah, that first arc, it really feels kind of redundant. I mean, we didn't really like it much at the time anyway.
Yeah.
And the problem was, it was setting up Jessica and Simon and their parent, but it didn't really, did it? It did a little bit, but we got far more of that afterwards.
Yeah, it really feels like ever since then, because that's when we introduced Rami, and everything from Rami and Volthum has been building all year till this. This is where we've been leading to, which is cool, because it feels climatic. It feels like we're getting to the big meat of the run. Whether this is getting towards the end of the run, whether this is the start of the second full year of the run, whatever it is.
Yeah, it feels like that was Act 1 though. Like it feels
Yeah.
like that's like all right, Act 1 to Act 2 starts with the villainous reveal.
Also, the reason why I think we'll be moving around, and I get the time thing, especially since I feel like the reason why we got all those flashbacks is because they're going to meet those first 7 Lanterns as a unit.
Yeah, that's why I thought when he says, "Oh, my friend," I think they're going to go back to that first 7 and do stuff
well, because
there.
they've spent the time. I don't know if we've been introduced to all 7 of them, but we've definitely been introduced to at least 4 at this point, maybe 5.
Well, we had 2 in this one.
2 in this one, and I can think of at least 2 from the last.
I can think of
couple
2
issues.
others. Yeah, so at least 4.
Yeah. So I feel like they've spent that time introducing them. It feels like that's for a reason. It's because we're going to actually meet them all as a team.
I would assume so. Yeah.
So that's cool. But no, this is exciting. This is a fun.
I think it's the best issue this has had in a while. I don't get me wrong, I've been enjoying it. I think it's been solid.
Yeah.
But I think this stepped it up and went, right, this is what this is building to. Here, get excited for what can come next.
I agree. I mean, it's a weird thing. Not to spoil my rankings later, but like it's a weird thing where I'm like, yeah, Green Lanterns was better than Superman this week.
I agree with that.
It was. Like, it's kind of stepped up, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be excited for a Green Lantern book. So cool. All right, that'll take us on to Nightwing number 23. Tim Seeley writing, Minkyu Jung on art, and this is the next part of this arc, or was it the first part? It's the second part. We already had the first one with Blockbuster. Yeah. That's right. But basically, yeah, Desmond, the current Blockbuster, basically makes his pitch to Nightwing because we ended the last issue with him being like, yeah, I want your help, or I've got a job for you, or whatever he said. It turns out that he at least appears at this point to be wanting to clean up the streets, and he's not happy that tiger sharks like flooding the streets with these weapons and all the rest of it. Obviously, at the end of the issue, it turns out to be a con, and he's actually luring Nightwing into this trap and this cool abandoned ship out in this little island to test all the weapons. And we have all these like C-list and D-list villains around that are here to buy the guns, which is a fun notion. But other than that though, we had a really fun sequence where Nightwing deals with this weird robot lady.
Yeah, and it was just typical Dick in the sense that he was like, hey, I should learn some new skills. How about forklift operator?
Yeah, and he pilots the forklift for a second. Actually, my favourite line of that whole thing is because the guys who've got it just kind of bought it from somewhere shady. He's like, oh, it fell off the back of a truck, but now it's chasing them down to try and kill them. And as he like saves them, he says, run, take everyone you see with you, and in future, don't buy strange robots. I love that line.
It's good.
That's a good line. Yeah. No, it's kind of a fun issue. It's keeping the arc going. It brings back in Svoboda a little bit. It gives us a scene with her to just again re-establish what their relationship is as a sort of, it's very much not Batman and Gordon. This is a cop who doesn't really like him, will only work with him when it benefits her.
Yeah, at least for now.
And she also, when he hands over a bit of paper with a couple of like corrupt cops on it, she scrunches it up as if she's like, I'm not interested, I'll protect them because they're my blood.
Do you know what? I was almost surprised that we didn't have a scene after he left with her opening it back up and looking at it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's, it's the sort of thing where she's put on the front, I don't trust you, but she's not stupid enough to ignore it entirely.
Yeah, I feel like her long-term arc might be that she doesn't become like a Gordon entirely, but I feel like she will be a more moral person by the end of this tenure on the book. Like she will have a growth herself as we go. Sean and Dick have an interesting scene.
This is my favorite stuff of the book, and it's probably my favorite stuff of the series in general at the minute is their relationship.
Yeah, because we have her struggling with running this support group again, and Dick comes in and she's kind of pissed at him that he's not went for the job interview. She's like, "Oh, we talked about this, Dick, blah 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 blah," and he's like, why is this so important to you? And now, obviously, in the real world, this is important to everyone because everyone needs money. But in this scenario, why is this important to you? I'm not just going to run off kind of thing. And she's concerned that he's too relieved that she wasn't pregnant. And then he reveals that he is kind of relieved, but not for the reason that you think he's relieved. He's relieved because he's worried that any kid they have would learn too much of her anger. Like, because he talks about how it makes an important part of his life for it not to be defined by tragedy, despite the fact that, how he became Robin was started that way. He tries to live in a more sort of upbeat way. But she still has all this anger from being this criminal sidekick and all the rest of it. And we see this moment at the end where the pigeon calls her and she accepts the call, and you're kind of worried, like, is she going to maybe maybe not go straight back to being a criminal, but is she going to rekindle that relationship, and what is that going to lead to? Because she maybe feels.
I think that's it. It's the most real this book feels. Obviously, that's a strange thing to say anyway, because it's all superheroics.
Yeah.
But this really grounds it, and because it does feel like a very real relationship.
It does. And it does make me think, oh yeah, this isn't going to be a forever thing. Like this is maybe a relationship that is going to be ultimately doomed. And
which kind of makes me sad, because I really, really like this relationship.
Yeah, but what I like about that though is that it's made us care about it. But at the same time, I kind of accept if the ultimate intention is to sort of have it be like a lesson for Dick and how it crumbles. Like, is it his fault? Is it her fault? What does he learn from it? Like,
I get it. I see the story potential, but I'll still be upset when it ends.
Yeah. So so really, it's definitely the most interesting scene of the issue. The rest of it's fun, of course. In fact, I want to mention one of the criminals the first criminal that he interacts with at this sort of arms deal, if you want to call it that, is Skyhook, who's the villain right now in Superwoman. So there's a little bit of you've seen him over there.
You got Vertigo in there.
Yeah. Is that Shadow up in the back?
Where am I looking?
Up in the perch. She's got a bow and arrow.
Up on the perch.
And double page spread.
Yeah, I'm looking. Oh, other side. I was looking on the perch on the left.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that was the Cliffhanger. Dick's in the Wolf's Den, and that's him. He needs to get out of it. Classic Cliffhanger, basically.
Do you know, I have one query about this book. Early on, when him and Blockbuster are talking. So obviously Blockbuster is back to his normal self, but he starts transforming, and then he takes a drop of something and then goes back to normal. Yeah. So is he permanently Blockbuster and then he takes something to look normal?
I think that's what it's implying. Maybe because the version he has that his brother doesn't, it works the opposite way, where he has to take something to be normal again. Yeah,
it just never said anything, because we don't see it the first time. Because obviously we open and he looks normal.
Or has it always been like a Jekyll and Hyde thing, where, like, did the original Blockbuster turn back to be normal? I can't remember if he did. I feel like he was always just the big grunt after that.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was something he took and it made him into that, like it was a serum that he took that activated it at the time. So like he chose to become it, not chose to stop.
Yeah, but the original Blockbuster, did he ever stop though at all?
I'm not sure.
I don't know if he did. In my memory, I can't remember him ever becoming normal again. I
can't remember it, but yeah.
I feel like he was always just a big grunt, whereas this Blockbuster seems to have like a thing that he takes that makes him be normal again for X amount of time.
Yeah, which I think is interesting.
But we can also see that he's smarter as Blockbuster as well. He's not a big dumb guy. So
yeah,
there's some differences there. Maybe makes him more of a foe beyond just the big grunt. Smashy, breakbacks, all that kind of thing. So that's Nightwing, which I thought was a fine issue.
I thought it was a good issue, elevated by the scene with Sean.
Yeah, it wasn't one of the standout issues, but it was kind of another solid issue in the run that is keeping things moving along.
Yeah.
So cool. That'll take us on to Batwoman number 4. Marguerite Bennett and James Tynion IV on the writing and Steve Epting on art. This ended up being the finale of this opening arc, The Many Arms of Death, which basically concludes with a giant fight between Batwoman and Knife in the sort of catacombs of the island, as all the sort of the warlords sort of make sure that the actual bombs can't go off with an EMP and whatnot. Which leads to probably my favourite sequence in the book, which is when the lights all go out and there's no lighting anymore, and it's mid-fight and Batwoman's like, you have no idea how dark it can get, and then the art is it like all goes dark.
It's fantastic. The art is incredible. I mean, we always say that with this book, because Epting is fantastic, but that page where she's like, I was forged by fire, and it comes in is just incredible. Yeah, she lights everything around her on fire to sort of make her point more dramatic. Hey, we know the Bat family like their theatrics.
They do. We open with a little bit of teasing from the creepy twins about their boss, and kind of I'm still, obviously at the end it's even more heavily implied, but like I've been saying from the start, Sophia is the head honcho of all this. Yeah. Well, it turns out maybe not the corporation though. It turns out because the corporation seems to be working for the Many Arms of Death. I think Sophia is now the head of the Many Arms of Death.
She is the chief arm.
Yes. Or the head.
Maybe.
The head that controls all the arms.
And maybe she's the body in the center.
But we get a little bit of Knife's backstory. We see her in different locations, different time periods, and that she was really close with Sophia, and then it was basically jealousy with Kate coming in. And she calls it what that red creature came in like a skulking fox. I mean,
some strong language there.
Yeah, full on jealousy. Aye, red creature.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you.
Yeah, I know you were. Choosing not to acknowledge it.
Yeah, nah. I really can't get over how good that fight in the dark is, though. It's really, really great stuff. Which is the bulk of the issue, and we kind of obviously there's some interesting tease at the end. She kind of wins the fight, but Knife kind of goes away and is like, yeah, there's many arms of death. I'm going to go and like, because even though they've beaten the corporation and they've kept the island, this many arms of death are going to keep coming. They're going to come back stronger, and that's kind of setting up the main foe for the book, sort of on a larger scale for a long time. So, that's pretty cool. Kate owns the bar, the Rose, or whatever it's called, Desert Rose, and she gives it over to one of the warlords to run because she can't stay here. She's got Batwoman to go off and do. Interestingly, Julia does not approve of one of her EMPs being handed over to crime lords, and I mean, Kate kind of jokes, "Are you going to tell Batman about all this stuff, are you?" But we do see that she is actually in communication, presumably with Batman, because she says to him, and this is all text, she's like typing it to someone, she didn't kill, but the allies she's chosen are professional killers, warlords and tyrants, criminals. Permission to initiate Plan B. So Julia is spying on Batwoman for Batman.
Yeah.
Make sure
that's the assumption.
That's the assumption, at least at this point. She's reporting back to him with... I guess it's maybe just a sign that Batman doesn't fully trust her to operate under his code.
If it's not Batman, it's Alfred.
Yeah, it could be true.
I could see that. Because, like Alfred has this whole thing where he just cares about the whole family.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like Bruce would be maybe a little bit more disinterested. He's like, no, Kate can do her own thing, because she always has.
What is Plan B, though, I wonder?
That's a good question. I also want to call up this stupid as shit monitor again. and also the fact that it's so stupid that they know it's stupid that they've got regular monitors underneath it.
Go on, explain just for people who don't remember what is stupid about the monitor.
It's a stupid bat. Just have a regular shape. That you can't see normal stuff on that thing. It's just it's irritating.
It's pretty funny. We get a final page again teasing who the lead of this many arms of death are, and we just see the roses, which implies that it probably is Sophia, but with no confirmation.
It is, but my thing is the way they keep her in shadows and they hide it, but they're like, this was my message with the rose, and it feels like maybe they're swerving it because
because before when I was predicting it, it was kind of like, they've not actually told us anything. I'm just making that prediction because it seems like the obvious thing to do. Whereas now they're actually teasing it, makes me think, maybe it's going to be a swerve.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is someone else who knows about her and is like, I'm using this rose to lure her out because she thinks that's what'll work.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's not actually Sophia. I don't know. I just feel like it was strange to keep her in shadows when it feels that obvious.
Yeah, Batwoman's really good though. Like, I'm really enjoying the plot. The art's fantastic. So far, it's really turned into a nice, solid keeper.
Absolutely, it's been fantastic.
So, no, I recommend it. And I'll take us on to Super Sons number 5, Peter J. Tomasi writing, and Alisson Borges on art, replacing the usual Jimenez, who's usually on it. I said I didn't really notice it all that much though. She kept a very similar style throughout.
I did not get around to reading this one.
Oh no, you did. Yeah. So yeah, just not an agree.
Yeah.
I'll
have a flick through, see if it looks the same.
Just so you can argue with me. But,
no, it looks pretty similar.
But so basically both of them are in trouble because they snuck off and did the whole thing in the first arc, and John's been forced to do his chores but without using his powers. So there's some fun Lois shouting at him and all the rest of it. And then eventually he gets pissed off and runs away because he feels like he's not been treated properly. And he's mainly pissed off that they're moving because they're sort of prepping to move to Metropolis. So he's not very happy. He's losing all his friends. He has to hide more because he's in the middle of a city, all that kind of thing.
So no mention of Kathy in this one, I take it.
No mention of Kathy, but he runs off. He just says that he'll miss all his friends, so
Yeah.
arguably she would be included in that. So he runs off to Gotham into the Batcave, and Damien immediately attacks. He's like, intruder alert, and he throws batarangs at him. And he's like, it's me, you idiot. And he's like, no, you could be one of those robot duplicates that, from last time, and he pokes him in the face. So there's some fun interaction with them, getting on each other's nerves. They end up fighting again. No doubt because Damien says something to piss him off, as is typical.
That's usually what happens in this book, isn't it?
Yeah. If I've got any complaints, is that the fighting goes on maybe a bit too long, but it's like, whatever. It's basically a one-shot, sort of leading to how they're allowed to keep functioning as they are. Because basically what happens is Alfred comes in with 2 plates of food, so he already knows. Like, Alfred's smart.
Of course he does.
He's well aware.
This is what I was just saying, on the last book. Alfred's, he's on everything.
Yeah, and here's the best thing. So they hear Alfred coming, so Damien's like, hide, quick. And John hides. And my favourite my favourite moment in this book is Alfred's got the 2 plates of food, and he says, I cannot believe my life has come to a place where I have to say this. And then you turn the page, and he says, would you please step out of the dinosaur's buttocks? And then on the panel, where John's hiding, you can just see the cape sort of coming down from the dinosaur's ass. It's beautiful. It is the most I laughed this week.
It sounds fantastic. I can't wait to read this issue.
Yeah. And then he starts talking to the kids, and he's like, I remember when your fathers didn't get on so well, but in time they eventually saw eye to eye. And we got a nice little page. There's a nice homage to Hush. Remember the big 2-page spread from Hush where Batman punches Superman?
Yeah.
There's basically that, but with the New 52 outfits here. And it's basically as Alfred's telling them about, they eventually learned to work together, they've had their differences. And then Batman and Superman eventually show up. And they basically say, it's time for you to actually go out and be on your own and actually have your own adventures. You're getting to that age where we can't just protect you all the time. You have to go out and do things. So the rules are that you have to be together. No going off on your own, John. But you can go and do stuff with Damien and be your own heroes. And there's a funny moment where he's like, now I just have to sell Lois on that idea. And then Batman's like, yeah, good luck with that, Kent. It's funny though, because at one point, because they're talking about who would win in a fight, and one of them says, have you never been curious as to which one of you would win in a fight? Like, Batman's pouring a glass of milk as like Superman's eating bread? Sandwich? Something? I don't know what it is. But he's like, hey Clark, hey Bruce, have you ever thought who would win in a fight? And he's like, me. But I'm stronger and I can fly. Huh, me. Basically the best thing about this book is the fun banter between the kids, but also Batman and Superman. But that was another good funny moment. Another really great moment when they first show up, actually, when Batman and Superman both show up in the cave. Batman cracks a couple of lines about, I'm glad we got here before you blew up my cave. But Damien gets all pissed. He's like, diabolical. How would you like it if I followed you everywhere and listened to all your conversations? And then Batman just goes, you do.
Fantastic.
Nah, proper good stuff. I was all into this. So yeah, basically, so they head out and they reference the first issue again. Because he says, remember what I said to you when we first went out after Kid Amazo? And he says, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. And the final page is just a one-page, a full-page spread of them, like, Robin's on his grapple hook, Superboy's jumping, Moon's in the sky. That's it. We've set it up. They're going off on their adventures now.
That's it. Team formed, essentially.
Yeah. It does say next Teen Titans, so it seems like John's going to meet the Teen Titans in the next arc. So
looking forward to that.
But no, solid fun book. Still loving it. Great stuff. Yeah, if I have any complaints, it's maybe just that the actual fighting part of it was like, okay, I know it's not a real fight. I've seen them fight already.
What you're saying here is just, come on, give me more banter.
Pretty much, like, we didn't the actual, because there's a whole 2-page spread of them fighting after a single page of it. I'm like, all right, it's not a real fight. There's no. It's funny to see them throw punches, but like, it was just too much. But that is like, it's a small complaint. The rest of it was good fun. So good stuff. That'll take us on to Trinity number 10. Francis Manapul writing. Francis Manapul, well, everything basically. Just Francis Manapul. And this is kind of continuing Dead Space arc, which is basically monsters are on the Watchtower. It's starting to plummet towards Earth. There's this other alien showed up saying we have to kill it, and some of the Justice League have been taken over by these monsters, and some of them haven't been. And that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I just want to say on the title, I love the title page and how the title's written. I think I said this on the last issue as well, but I just love how it forms part of the scene rather than just being words on top of it.
That's very Manapul. I remember him doing that a lot in Flash.
It is, but I always love it. I think I don't see it done enough, or at least not done well enough.
Yeah. It's notably split into kind of thirds with the narration. The first third's Wonder Woman narrating, and she's talking to this new alien dude that's shown up and trying to tell them that they have to kill everyone so that they can save the Earth. And then it switches over, I think, to Batman next, who's talking about how he's trying to like work with the Flash to take down Aquaman. Because at one point they managed to just about get Aquaman to break out. Like they kind of open up the demon alien mask thing, and you see him almost getting out. It's because they can tell that they're holding back. Like, because Batman's like, he should have killed me. Like, with his strength, I should be dead. But he's fighting back. Or Flash says that. Whoever he's grabbing. But yeah, so that was kind of it. It's basically, that's the whole issue. It's them all kind of fighting, trying to get control of the station. Superman's trying to, like, stop the station from plummeting into Earth with his strength, as he does.
Possibly the highlight of the issue for me. Him out there, just those panels of him just trying to hold it back and going like, think about John and Lois.
Yeah, it's a great Superman page where he's just trying to lift something heavy. It's just that test of strength. And we find out there's a bunch more of these aliens, and then the big cliffhanger is that Wonder Woman gets taken over by
to be the queen.
To be the queen with these big tusks, which
yeah.
is
I really love the design. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's really a simple issue. Which is fine, because honestly, with Manapul, I'm here for the art, and the story's okay. Like, it's kind of just like a generic Justice League story.
It is, but it is elevated by the art, isn't it?
It is. I will say this though, I basically did decide this week that once this Manapul arc's done, I'm probably just going to drop this book. Mainly because I'm not really interested in what the Rob Williams story is going to be afterwards. And honestly, even the Manapul stuff, like, I like it, like, the art's fun, but like, I wasn't in love with the first arc either.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this one because I've started it, but I think I'm done with it.
I would definitely have finished this just because I will buy anything that Manapul draws. That's it, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, when he's not there, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I like the Trinity and Magic. I'd like to see them. But then I go, I do not give a shit about anything else in that plot.
The Red Hood Trinity, which, by the way, if a second person picks the perk on Patreon to make Connor read a book, that's something you could make him read, is the Red Hood section of Trinity.
That'd be a dick move.
That would be pretty fun.
I do say I did have a one major problem with this issue, actually.
Oh, go on.
You know the bit where Batman's carrying Cyborg out of the ship?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Batman, he was talking to himself a lot, and it felt a little strange. Like, he was really over-narrating what he was doing. Yeah, it was like, oh, these bombs, these explosives will just about get us through the floor. And I don't know, I felt like there was just too much talking from Batman at that bit.
Maybe he's trying to comfort Cyborg, because Cyborg was helpless. He was trying to make him feel better.
Yeah, maybe.
Keeping him updated on what he's doing, talking him through it, just so that he's...
Yeah, it could be. It just felt like a lot.
That's fair.
I guess I just felt like I didn't really need it, because the art was selling me on so much of what was going on anyway, that it seemed like it was, just too much.
I think my only question is that Batman's not got a breathing apparatus on, and there's parts of that genuinely look like he's outside in space. Yeah,
that is true. That was my other thing.
Which I thought was a bit weird. And I'm just assuming that he's not. It's like just a big window or something, but...
I think once you get to the page after that, where all the tentacles come through.
Yeah.
At that point, it becomes clear that it was a big window.
Actually,
like, you can see it.
I want to say how much me and Batman are aligned on our thoughts, because a couple of weeks ago in the Wonder Woman annual, Batman said he hated magic. I also hate magic. In this issue, Batman says the line, I hate tentacles. I also hate tentacles. Me and Batman are like peas in a pod. We are so close. We're like bros. We're Bat bros.
Aye, very good.
He's speaking to me. That's two things in a space of a few weeks.
They're making Batman relatable for you, aren't
they? Yeah, they really are. Yeah, I hate tentacles. I hate magic.
How everyone always says, Batman's the most relatable because he's a person, and he's not really, because of all the actual tragic origin that he goes through. Makes him probably the least makes him probably the least relatable of the big heroes.
Well, I don't know if he's less relatable than Superman, but
I think he is.
Oh, let's not get into this. We could spend an hour talking about this.
I know. I'm just ignoring powers and non-powers, just based on personality and what they try and do. and then their history. I think Superman's more relatable as a family upbringing versus Batman's.
I don't know, because I think because Superman always tries to be the better person, I feel like, which is a good thing, I'm not complaining about that, but I feel like Batman is arguably a bit more relatable just in the sense that he gets obsessed with what he's doing, and that feels more normal to me, because I get obsessed with things. Not crime fighting, I get obsessed with completing a video game, and then I do nothing but complete that video game. But at least on a core level, I can relate to that.
Fair enough. I forgot what my point was going with that anyway, but I think I was just saying it's interesting that this is how they've decided to make him relatable to you. Tentacles and magic.
If it's seriously, if he says in the next issue that he hates mayonnaise, we are like.
To be honest, if we were going to get that, that would have been in the issue, where we had all the Bat family going out and they had the burgers.
Yeah.
That's where we'd have got it if we were going to get that.
They disappointed me. He should have had a line saying he hated mayonnaise. Sure, he eats burgers with a knife and fork, which is weird, but
he didn't have a problem with mayo, or he didn't mention anything.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a shame.
Sorry to disappoint you there. I'll keep you updated. If he ever mentions it in All-Star Batman, then I'll let you know.
Very true. Which is funny you bring that up, because that's where we're going next.
Yeah.
We're going over to All-Star Batman, number 11, Scott Snyder writing, and Rafael Albuquerque on the art. And, I didn't read this, because I stopped reading this, 6 issues ago or something like that. So, by all means, Connor, take it away.
All right, this issue, fantastic. By far the best this series has been. Far and away. It's all narrated by Alfred. Again, obviously that's the whole story is the first ally. This is Alfred's story, really.
Oh, okay.
We're watching events happen to Bruce, but we're not really following him for the most part, and we're all inside Alfred's head. It starts with Alfred talking about, do you remember that whole thing Snyder set up in, I think it was Detective 27 in the New 52, where they had...
Jesus Christ, this is going to way back a bit, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, because that was that big anniversary issue, if you remember, and Snyder's story in that was the whole every 27 years there'd be a new clone. It's been mentioned a few times since. I don't know if you recall it. So the idea that Batman would live forever because there'd be another clone of him. At peak efficiency, because he worked out 27 years is the max of that. That's his peak.
Yeah, I hated it, but continue.
Yeah, well, he mentions that, and the reason he brings it up is he talks about how what he's actually done is he's kind of made it so he'll always have an Alfred, where he's uploaded a version of Alfred's consciousness to a computer to make it like an AI of Alfred, basically.
A Jarvis-esque thing, yeah.
Pretty much, and it's the idea that he's saying maybe he's been too much of a crutch. He's always made Bruce think that he's got a way out, because he's always been there for him to depend on, and maybe he's been there too much, and that's why Bruce is so reckless, because he feels Alfred's always going to be there to fix him. And that's kind of the crux of the story, where Bruce is still at that pirate base, and he finds an old grappling hook. It's like this 300-year-old antique, and he's saying, Bruce doesn't see anything. He goes, "Oh no, it's fine." But he doesn't. When Alfred looks at it, he looks at it and goes, "Oh, it's an old rotten rope. It could break at any moment." But Bruce doesn't think about this, and he says that because he thinks that Alfred will be there to catch him, sort of thing. And it continues that where Bruce jumps out. He's like, Alfred's like, "Hey, I'm coming. I'm in a boat. I'm coming. Just wait there. There's crocodiles or alligators or whatever it was. The crocodiles in the water. Don't jump in there. I'm coming." And Bruce is like, "Nah, it's fine. I've got it." And jumps in. Crocodile bites his arm. We have Bruce fighting a crocodile. It is incredible. You want to see that.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
But Alfred doesn't reach him this time. Instead, he gets picked up by Cobblepot. Cobblepot, I think it was Black Mask and Great White. And going back to last issue, how I said he was going in pretending to be Hush? And because they knew Hush was pretending to be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
They actually think he's Batman pretending to be Bruce Wayne, to be pretending to be Hush. So they don't actually think that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
That's a bit convoluted, but okay.
Well, yeah, but in their minds, they're going, "Hey, we know Hush was being Bruce Wayne, and Batman wanted to infiltrate, so he did a Bruce Wayne mask as well." Okay. And they're going, "Hey, your Bruce Wayne's a bit shit." The usual. Mm-hmm. But they basically tell him, "Hey, there's a submarine down there, and it's Tiger Shark that's got a bunch of stuff. This guy that he's chasing that killed the guy last issue, he's gone down there to Tiger Shark. So you'll want to go and get him down there." So we follow him down there, and he's too late again. And I assume this is after the current arc in Nightwing, because it seems like he kills Tiger Shark.
Who kills Tiger Shark?
This other guy that the guy was chasing. We don't know his name yet.
All right, okay.
But I'm assuming it plays into Alfred's story because we get more flashbacks to him in his youth. It talks about how when he was a child, he really had problems with the fact that his father was never there. And again, it's mirroring this idea that maybe he was there too much for Bruce, and it's led him to be reckless. But because his father wasn't there, it's made him a bit more cautious, perhaps, and that's why he is who he is. And obviously, he talks about how he was always annoyed that his father was over with the Waynes and not with him, and he resented that. And eventually, it shows him joining the SAS and going on his missions. It's some really nice sequences of him going on these missions and just becoming the man who he was in his youth. And eventually we get a guy from MI5 come up and be like, "Hey, we want you to be something more." And Alfred says, "Become something more. Become what?" And the guy says, "A dark knight of sorts, maybe even a legend." And so it's a bit on the nose and cheesy, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But Alfred's not immediately into it. He's like, I'll let you explain, but I'm not promising anything. But maybe if I can make a difference, well, I'll see what you have to say. And the guy says, "Fair enough, but first something has to happen." And then Alfred's like, "What?" And the guy pulls a gun on him and says, "This," and that's the end of the issue. So presumably they have to fake his death.
Okay, right.
But it's actually really interesting being inside Alfred's head for once, because I feel like we don't actually see that all that often. Like, he's such an integral character in the family, and he's always there, but we're never inside his head. We never get narration from him.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it sounds somewhat interesting, but like, I just burned out on how Snyder writes Batman.
That's the thing. If for this arc, there's actually a lot less Batman than ever before, because it's all from Alfred's perspective, narrating on the actions that Bruce is taking. So there's not much of Bruce's, awkward dialogue. There's none of his self-narration. Like, there is no Bruce narration at all in this issue. So there's none of that to annoy you. And then you have Albuquerque's art, which is just phenomenal.
Did they actually bring up that whole cloning thing?
They just mentioned it at the start, talking about how Bruce had that plan. He says he has this plan because he's talking about how Bruce doesn't actually believe in death because he thinks that he can survive forever as the Batman through this system. And it doesn't actually go into it any more than that, but it's again Snyder reminding us that he has this plan, and it's been there a while. He keeps every so often he brings it up, and I feel like he probably has something that he's going to pay off with that, and I'm wondering if it'll come up in Metal.
I hope not.
I can see it being a way out of sorts, where he activates all of them or whatever.
I've never been a fan of this stupid cloning thing, and
No, I know. I'm not in love with it either. I like it here, where it's reference that Bruce has the idea, but he doesn't necessarily do it yet. But he has the idea, and the idea that he even when he's in the future, he still is in his mind. He's going to be dependent on an Alfred. I like that part of it for this story, but the idea itself, I agree, is kind of hokey.
I just don't like it. Like you say, it's hokey. It's over this line where it's just silly. Like, I get that Batman, he's always prepared and he's always but I feel like no, he prepares by having a legacy, by having other people who can take over for him.
That's what I'd hope. I'd hope Snyder has maybe realised that. I hope that in Metal, if this does come up, I think my best case scenario is Batman has this and he activates it thinking he needs it all, but ultimately it'll fail or whatever, and it won't be enough, and he'll realise, no, that's not how I'm going to survive. That's not how Batman will live forever and continue. It'll be through my legacy, and he'll finally accept
the
that.
Worst case scenario is that he somehow dies, but we end up with a clone who's technically still him.
Yeah.
That is the worst case scenario that I do not want at all.
Again, I don't know how much you remember all this. He had all of his memories still, or the memories up to the point of 27 years ago, when
Yeah.
he started. And then he would catch him up, bring him up to speed before he went off to die, basically. Yeah. And it is hokey, and I don't like it either.
That is something
Snyder
I
is
really
worse.
hoped it was just forgotten after New 52. I really wanted nothing to do with it.
I agree, that is Snyder at his worst, and it's probably the worst idea he had in all of his run, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't. I flat out hate it. There's nothing about it that I even kind of like. I hate all of it.
Like I said, I like what it's used in this issue for Alfred, but I don't like the idea itself. I just like the way it adds to Alfred's story.
I hope it's actually just taking care of like an all-star at the end of this arc. Like, I hope he just makes the choice to like not use it or something. Because if it ends up in Metal, where it's like actually an event, where it's effective, like it's like, oh, you're actually bleeding this into something I'm reading. Stop it.
That's it, because he's kind of been very coy about it. Like, there was that one story in 27, but that was just like a little special. It was like a backup, essentially, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they used it at the end of the whole super heavy thing where he got his memories back because they were all in the computer.
Yeah, but it's been very sporadic. Like he's been aware that it's there. He keeps every so often he'll prod us and go, "Hey, this is around," but he's never done anything with it, which makes me concerned that Metal might be the one where he does. I think that's kind of Metal feels like that's going to be his capper on Batman. Like that's going to be his thing.
Which is really annoying because so far I've liked the one shot we've had of Metal so far, but like. If he ends up using Metal to put in more of these bullshit Batman ideas that I don't like, but it's actually going to infect everything else because it's actually the main event in the world.
Yeah.
It is way worse. It'll actually really piss me off.
It is. Like I said, there's a best case scenario, which would be okay. I'd be okay with it if that's what it is for. But worst case scenario is, we have all these Batmans from other Earths or whatever it is that are coming. We don't really know exactly yet, but all these variant Batmans coming and invading, and if he goes, right, you've got an army of Batmen, then so will I. That's worst case scenario, I think.
I do not want to see any Batman clones.
No,
at all.
But I'm just
especially
you've been warned now.
I don't want to see any Batman clones at all, and I especially don't want to see one replace him. Like if he makes some clones just to go and die for him, I don't like that either. But at least they're not like besmirching the actual Batman by having him replaced by a clone. Like, I don't like any of it. I hate this.
Yeah. I was fine with the end of Super Heavy. Again, it was annoying that he brought up its existence, but I was fine with it just being, the memories are there. Because it was something he had set up earlier, and I was okay with that. I mean, I'm sure you weren't, because you really hate that arc in general. But I was okay with that, as a use for the cloning thing.
Yeah,
But I don't really want it in Metal either. But this is when I saw it again, and like I said, I think that was the last time we mentioned it was in the New 52. So I'm concerned it's going to pop up.
Let's move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
It's depressing me. Let's get on. That's the last book, so we can move on to our best of the week picks and all that. I guess first though, I should bring up patrons' picks from last week. Of course, if you sign up on Patreon and become one of our patrons at $1 or more, you get to submit your favourites in a series of polls every week. For the next, and we announce them on the next show. So like the one for this episode 56, will go up before the end of the weekend, and you'll have until we start recording episode 57 to vote. So the results for last week, for week 55, are as follows. The best book. You know what? I'm actually going to go in the opposite order. I feel like I should build up the best book.
Yeah, we always do best book last here.
Yeah, for us. So yeah, for the patrons it should be the same. Best cover went to Wonder Woman. Best art went to also Wonder Woman. That makes some sense. Best book cover did go to Dark Age of the Forge, issue 1.
That's fair, because I think we all agreed that didn't deserve that, but we agreed it deserved best book. So
absolutely. So I guess we get to pick ours. But I guess first I will always start with Matt, since we'll get Matt's picks.
We do not have his cover though.
He never picked a cover, yeah, so we have to skip his cover. But he does have a panel. His favourite panel of the week was from Superman. Actually, it was Superboy flying that 1-page spread. So fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you have a panel of the week?
Yeah, I'm deciding between a couple. Do you know what? I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with the one in Batwoman, that, the fire coming down. It's just an incredible page.
I That's fair. That's fair.
It's rare this week because I've got like 4 or 5 just off the top of my head I could go with, which usually I'm really picking and choosing, but I'm gonna go with that one.
That's fair. You know, this is a struggle this week. There's a couple of things I could pick. I could definitely pick 1 or 2 from Batwoman. There's a lot I could pick from Batman. Like, a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm tempted to go with Riddler and the prison sort of hallway with all the guards. A lot of that stuff is glorious. But I think I'm going to be a bit more obvious and go for a money shot. And I'm technically cheating and picking 2, but
the 2 double pages.
The 2 double pages of the knock knock and then Joker being who's there. Mainly just because the feel of going past that page and then actually emulating the sense of the camera going across the room, panning across. That feeling, the fact that they made me feel like I was watching that play out that way,
Yeah.
I think was really impressive. And it was this climactic moment because we'd built up to them meeting throughout the entire issue. So that's my pick. That's my pick for panel. Best cover of the week.
Oh, that's harder. Give me a second.
That's a bit harder. Matt didn't pick one, obviously, so yeah, it's down to us. I'm just trying to get back to my
Yeah. I'm just scanning them.
I'd have been quicker just going out of it instead of going to the end of the book, but there we go. Do you know
what? Go on.
Well, I'm actually going to not pick Batman. I could have picked Aquaman, but I'm going to disqualify. I didn't read it, so I'm disqualifying it from the selection. I'm going to go with Green Arrow.
You know how we both went, oh, do you know what? At the same time, I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah, well, I'm not going to go with Batman. I'm going to go with Green Arrow.
Because Green Arrow has Ollie sort of on the bike, he's sort of leaning over, and then you get that great like shot of Canary looking over her shoulder with her hair flowing in the light. It's really pretty.
Yeah, and it's Faria doing the cover, right? Yeah, that looks like him.
I think I've got it small just now,
Yeah,
so I can't tell.
It doesn't look like Schmidt, but it's just an incredible cover.
It's glorious stuff. You know, Green Arrow's the one book where the regular cover is usually much better than the variant.
It is. Like, a lot of books, I'm like, oh, that variant. And these ones, the variants are good. They're various of fine to good, but...
Actually, to be fair, it's actually 50-50 depending on which one's better. But there's always one that's highly superior to the other. There's never what I feel it's very rare that I look at both covers and go, oh, they're both about the same.
Yeah.
There's usually one that's clearly the better one. There you go, that's cover, so that'll take us on to best art of the week. This is quick. It's now, admittedly, had I read Aquaman, this might have been more of a fight. But as it is, and even though Batwoman is typically usually a solid contender, I have to go with Janin on Batman.
Do you know what? I'm torn.
Oh, what are you torn with?
I'm torn between Janin and Albuquerque.
Oh yeah, All-Star, which I did not read, which is fair.
Do you know what? Seeing as Matt said Batman, I'll go with Batman. I'll give it to Janet.
I hadn't revealed that yet, but you're right. Matt did say Batman.
I forgot. I did not realize you hadn't revealed it, but it tells how much I listen to you, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. Top fives. We'll go with Matt's first.
Yeah, I need time to think about this.
Go with Matt's first. At number 1, Matt has Batman, which tells you how much he liked that. So that is saying something. He had Green Arrow at number 2, Green Lanterns at number 3, Superman at number 4, and Nightwing at number 5. That sounds like he had a similar feelings maybe on Superman as us, that he had it a bit lower down than normal for him. So,
yeah, the fact that he had 3 things above it is shocking for him.
So that makes some sense. You got your top 5 there, Connor?
I mean, I'll agree with Batman at 1. That's just there. 2, I'll probably go with Green Lanterns. 3, All-Star. 4, Nightwing. 5, Green Arrow.
All right, I will be going also with Batman at number 1, so we've got a unanimous pick this week.
Again.
I will go with also Green Lanterns at number 2, but then I will go with Batwoman at number 3, and then Green Arrow at number 4, and Super Sons at number 5.
Says a lot when neither of us had Superman in our top 5s.
Yeah.
That was a strong week.
Even Nightwing didn't make my top 5. Which does say something. But there you go. That's a top fives for the week. So that leads me to tell you what's coming next week. And what is coming next week? We've got Action Comics 982, Batgirl number 12, Batman Beyond number 9, Blue Beetle 10, which we're not actually covering anymore. I really need to update my list because I wrote this down when this list that's came out and I hadn't dropped it yet. Detective Comics 959, we get Flash number 25, which is an anniversary issue that's longer. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps number 23, Justice League of America number 9, which again, we don't cover anymore, but it's coming out. Teen Titans number 9, Wonder Woman number 25, which is an anniversary issue and is longer. You also have Supergirl being Super number 4, that's exciting, we've really liked that book. So that's wrapping up next week. We have Batman the Shadow number 3. We also have, not being covered, but coming out, we have the Hellblazer number 11 and Suicide Squad number 20. Plus, there's also another couple of those DC Looney Tunes mashups coming out with Batman Elmer Fudd and Jonah Hex Yosemite Sam.
Speaking of Hellblazer, I could be wrong, but I think this is the final issue of this run, because I think Seeley takes over with 12.
Which I believe at least you are checking out once.
Oh, definitely. I also may do a read-through of this whole run for next week, and
right.
all 11 issues. If it is, I'll double-check if it is the final issue, and then maybe just give thoughts on it overall.
That's fair. So that's what's coming next week. So, week 4. Really excited about that Supergirl being super. Because I've really liked that, and I'm excited to see how it wraps up.
Is it the last issue of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it goes
out high. We were saying how all the 25s were, like the start and end of arcs.
Mm-hmm.
The Flash is a weird one, where technically it is the start of an arc, but because we just had those 2 issues, it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like they were part of it still. They just really wanted that to be officially the first part.
Yeah, maybe that's one where it just didn't line up very well, but I imagine it looks like a big issue, though, in the middle of the arc.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because they're still technically calling it part 1, whatever we just had was 2 parts, but it feels like it's still the same story.
It does, yeah. They're maybe cheating a little bit with that one. No, obviously it's Rucka's last Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he sets up going forward, because we know he said he was going to, talk about going forward and what's going on for whatever he's leaving, but we don't really know much about it. We know it's called Perfect, which I assume, I want to say it's to do with the lasso. Obviously she lost that in the last issue before,
last one,
right? But obviously that's
technically it was issue before, but we found out in the last one that she'd lost it.
Yeah, but that was that's called the Perfect. When she said it early on. So I'd be interested to see if it's something to do with that.
Possibly. I'll almost be disappointed, though, if she gets it back that quickly.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the cover. She is holding it on the front cover.
Okay. Well, I guess it's coming back to her pretty quickly then. It's not a big disappointment. It's just, I kind of like the idea of forcing her to not have it for a while, to maybe get some story out of that, but...
Yeah, it kind of feels like Rucka's maybe just putting the pieces back putting the toys back in the box for what's coming next.
As long as the next writers don't mess with the origin again, just stick with what's been set up now.
I think this is it for a while. To be fair, the New 52 one stuck as long as the New 52. It's only when we come to this that they decided now we're going to change it.
True.
I think this will stick unless we have a major shift again for whatever reason. I think that's it now.
You say that. Did you ever read any of the Finch issues to actually check?
I read one Finch issue just because it can't be that bad. And then it was atrocious.
Well. Alright, well, I guess I'll just wrap it up the show then. So thank you very much for listening and or watching. We always appreciate it. Let us know in comments what you thought of this week's books. Vote in the Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Of course, the $1 perk does get you access to the weekly poll, but obviously the $5 perk gets you access to voting on what trades we cover on week 5s when there's a week 5 every couple of months. It also gets you access to some bonus comics content. Me and Matt did the newest issue of Archie this week. We're planning on 2 things in the next week. We're planning on trying to fit in the first trade of Black Magic, which is Greg Rucka's book, his independent book with Nicholas Scott.
Yeah, that comes back after a year and a half's break next week, and I'm honestly more excited for that than any DC book at the moment, because that is a phenomenal book. So if anyone's not reading it,
Well, I've not read
Greg's
any
have
of
to trade
it,
this
so
week.
I'm looking forward to reading the first trade of that. It's only 5 issues, so we're looking to squeeze that in. We're also, me and Connor are going to look at doing the first issue of Gil Simone's new book that just launched this past week, Crosswind. So that's on the cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, so bonus.
I think maybe we're looking at that horror book as well, Winnebago Graveyard.
Yeah, we considered that. Yeah, it's a question of
Yeah.
squeezing the things in at that point. But these are just some extra things you get if you're on the Patreon at the $5 tier. You get these bonus videos, some written content. Connor writes about Star Wars books occasionally.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
I think I'm gonna get one up about Darth Vader issue 2 actually.
Oh, is it issue 2 already?
Yeah, they double shipped it for the first month at least.
fair enough.
Marvel tends to do that with Star Wars books.
Fair enough. So that's what's coming up on Patreon for the comics fans. Obviously, there's other stuff for our other shows, our movie shows, and all that kind of thing. But that is us. So like, subscribe, 5-star rating on the iTunes, or like us on the SoundCloud, wherever it is you're getting your podcast from. But we appreciate it either way. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Connor Ryan94 for his Twitter, at Wibble89 for my Twitter. But that is us. So once again, thank you very much for watching or listening. It means a lot to us. Keep reading DC Comics. We'll see you next time, and always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.